coming back to our last session today, Dr. Lodi, and we're going to talk about the nature of nature and something that, I've heard you talk about it a few times, the rhythm of nature. And it's interesting, over the last couple of months, my perceptions really changed because I'm an alpha male and I do a lot of things outside. And I always had this attitude that, I'm going to conquer nature. And it was only in the last few months where it's just like, oh, I'm so arrogant to actually think that. And it's how can I relate to nature? And what are the lessons that I can learn from the rhythms of nature and the movement of nature?
Yeah. Well, I mean, now we're talking about something that gives us a perspective, a 1,000-mile up perspective of life, and that is the nature of nature is movement and motion. Okay. In fact, when we look out at the distant stars with telescopes, we see supernovas, and they're just exploding, and they're pushing out hundreds of galaxies. And you have to understand the galaxy we live in, the Milky Way galaxy, has an estimated 200 billion stars, like our sun. 200 billion. Imagine how big that is. And like I think from one side of the Milky Way galaxy to the other is something like 100 million light years. It's crazy. Anyway, we're talking about so when you think that a supernova is spewing that out, and then you think of a black hole at the center of every medium-sized and large-sized galaxy, black holes are sucking things in at the speed of light. So what we see is energy exchange and motion, and that's what is the dance of nature. In India, they call it Leela, Hindu, which means the divine dance, the divine play. This God, the way God is playing. So that's the nature of nature. So now, and we look at the tides go in and out, and things are moving. In the world of physics and chemistry, the way we look at movement in nature, and we understand that all things are moving, and that the lack of movement is impossible. So what is associated with motion and movement is temperature. Okay, so temperature. So let me give you an example. The temperature of ice is kind of cold when I touch it. And if I look at the molecules of water that are in ice are slow. Now we heat it up a little bit, we add heat, and we've got water. So the molecules of water are moving a little faster, it's a little warmer. Now the molecules of steam, same molecules, still H2O, but it's moving really fast, and you touch it, it's going to burn you. So motion is temperature. So now Fahrenheit and centigrade are not real scales because they don't have an absolute zero. Because if you have an absolute zero, you can't have a -1. Because if zero means nothing, how can you have a negative, less than nothing? You can't. So they have, in science, they have a thing called the Kelvin scale. And the Kelvin scale has absolute zero. And absolute zero has never been able to be achieved in any laboratory. You can't find it because that's where all motion would cease. That means even an atom, which has electrons flying around it, that would stop. And if that stops, there's no atom, so it doesn't exist. So in other words, absolute motionless doesn't exist. Now, absolute speed is what we think of as the speed of light. And at the speed of light, remember, matter, as Einstein taught us, no longer exists. It's now energy. So matter and energy are actually the same thing, but at different speeds. Speed defines motion. So we're in motion. So for our bodies to exist, and even if we're not, even if I'm lying in bed and I don't move for 1 week, my body is in motion. It has a rhythm with the earth. It's called the circadian rhythm. In fact, the circadian rhythm is my relationship with the earth and the sun, and it's the rhythms in my body. So understand, rhythm, motion is life. Therefore, we need to be moving all day long to be in a state of health, because that's what our bodies were designed to do. And that's exactly what you teach, Darren. How do I go, instead of sitting around for 8 hours and then working out crazy for an hour and sweating, I mean, that is as unnatural as sitting for 8 hours. Both are unnatural. So what is the natural way to live?
Well, the natural way is, it's exactly what you said. It's energy. Everything comes down to energy, and it's every day putting that investment into my energy, and it comes down to an object in motion stays in motion. And it's really easy for me to get caught up in that, and exactly what you said. I went to the gym. I smashed the absolute crap out of myself for an hour. Look at me, I'm so healthy. I'll take a selfie in the gym and I'll put it up on Instagram, and I'm flexing my biceps. I'm showing I've got these ripped abs. That is not health at all. That is not health. What is health? And one of the things that we've talked a lot about is health, or being fit is being useful. And it's what am I doing for other people? How am I helping my community? And we talked a couple months ago about the best workout people can do. Grab a bag, go around your neighborhood and pick up some trash. Take a little responsibility. And we were talking about this yesterday. I'm going to be the first to admit, I preach this to people. Do I practice it all the time? No. There's times I'll walk by a piece of trash and my attitude is, no, not my responsibility. So it's that continual movement. It's getting up, standing up. Even if we're sitting, just stand up. The amount of chemical reactions that happen in your body just from standing up are astronomical.
Yeah.
Absolutely astronomical. I heard you give a talk, and this is a long time ago, and you talked about secondhand health, and boom, it really got me thinking about one of the things that we're bringing in with the Institute of Integrative Oncology. Tell us, what is secondhand health?
Well, the term came to me when I had a patient with breast cancer. Yeah, she was very sick, and she was in a wheelchair, and her husband came with her, and he was pushing her around, and and all that. But he came to me after about 6 weeks. It took about 12 weeks for her to get better. He came to me after 6 weeks and he said, you know what? When I first came, I had angina, chest pain. I had to take nitroglycerin to relieve the pain a few times a day. I also had high blood pressure and I had diabetes. But here with my wife, Iris, I've been trying to, I didn't want her to have to do all this alone. So I've been doing the juicing and the fasting and the colon hydrotherapy, and I've been doing and eating the foods with her and all that sort of thing, just to support her. And now my blood sugar is normal. My blood pressure is normal. And I have no chest pain. And I said, great, that's secondhand health. Yes. Okay, so instead of secondhand smoke, I got the idea from the word of secondhand smoke. Let's give each other secondhand health.
So secondhand health, and that's picking up trash in your neighborhood. Number two, this is something you mentioned earlier, the pictures of nature. Take your phone, go outside and take a picture of nature and send it to a friend or a family member or a coworker. They're going to get a benefit and you're going to get a benefit. You're outside in nature, you're sending them a picture. It's going to help decrease their stress, turn on that parasympathetic nervous system. The other one, and this is one that it's a little challenging now. It depends where you are in the world. You got to have your mask on, but you can't see. But when you're walking by a stranger, share a smile. It's that smiling. It's that I get a dose of serotonin, you get a dose of serotonin. I was walking home yesterday. We talked earlier in the day, and I was thinking about that. I got sidetracked, and I was walking home, and I passed these two kids on a bike. You should have seen the smiles on their face. And as the little girl rode by me, she was singing "Come a chameleon," and I burst into just an hysterical laugh. And it's amazing that we have this ability to affect one another's mental well-being just by smiling and laughing. And I think this gets back to the nature of nature is how we evolved was through cooperation and collaboration. Yeah. And we if we were going to survive, I had to cooperate with you to get food.
Yeah. And the thing that you teach our patients, which is very important, is that even if you have a sedentary job, or you just not unless probably the healthiest people in the world are the gardeners, because they're out there bending and picking and all day long, right? So they're they don't need to go to the gym, right? They're healthy. But So what Darren teaches, and I think it's important, is that whatever you're doing, every 1 hour or 2 hours, get up for 8 to 12 minutes and go through some sort of routine to move. And that's what you would teach, all the different types of movements you can do. So all day long, you're moving.
Every day, yeah, moving, and notice too for the call, it's I've done it standing up and I'm constantly shifting, and this brings us back to what you said about the energy, and everything's in continuous motion. Is even when I'm standing straight in the static position, I'm actually moving. There's integrative little movements that are going on to hold my. I don't like this word posture. It should be more. It just we're moving even when we're standing still.
Right.
So the
one good example. Have you ever seen a time lapse film of somebody sleeping?
Yeah.
They move all over the place. You see them flipping, and they turn here, they turn there, they're there. I remember as a kid, sometimes I'd wake up with on the opposite side of the bed. My head down where my feet were. Right. So we're moving around all the time. We have to move. We can't sit still, and that's what we have to learn. About our lives, right? Not only we have to eat right, we have to sleep right, we have to move.
We have to move, and it comes back to what what you're talking about the insulin and glucose homeostasis. Movement will affect that as well.
Right, movement, muscular contraction uses up that glucose.
Yes.
So, and if it uses up the glucose, guess what? You don't need the insulin.
There we go. What a way to wrap it up. It's such a cliche. Eat well, move, and sleep, but they work. They work. But thank you so much, Dr. Lodi. Really appreciate that. Great discussion today. And we'll turn it back over to you, Aru. Thank you so much for today.
That concludes our health webinar today. I think we all agree that every day when you seek for knowledge, every day you will find something new. I learned a lot from these two gentlemen, and I can't believe myself. We have been informed something different, and now we learn something new. So this is a fantastic occasion that we all have to always go out and find something new every day, especially something that related with health during this hard time. So on behalf of APSWC, please allow me to thank you, our two fantastic speakers, Darren and Dr. Lodi. Thank you very much for gracing us with your fantastic topic, fantastic sharing. And we will sure that we all are benefit out of all those. So hopefully in the future, we will find other time to have you again with us and listen to more about interesting topic from both of you. Thank you, everyone. Looking forward to see you again in another occasion with Asia Pacific Spa and Wellness Corporation.